You've been staring at the same blank spreadsheet for 42 minutes, telling yourself you're just lazy. You try to force your hand onto the mouse, but your chest tightens every time you attempt that first click. You stop. You tell yourself that if you just cared enough, you'd sit down and finish it. You believe high performers possess a reservoir of iron self-discipline that you simply lacked, leaving you to rely on panic just to function. But procrastination isn't a character flaw or a lack of discipline. It's an automatic threat response system. Your nervous system is treating the uncertainty of that task as a threat, pulling the emergency brake before you even start. When a task carries ambiguity, potential judgment, or high standards, your brain interprets that emotional risk like physical danger. Instead of engaging clear executive focus, your nervous system routes signals down a threat pathway. This triggers an unconscious freeze response. Your body readies to avoid immediate emotional discomfort, forcibly yanking your attention towards safer, low-stakes activities like organizing files or checking email. You're not choosing laziness. Your brain is actively escaping perceived danger. This feels like a moral failing because the emotional relief is instantaneous. The exact second you look away from the screen, your chest loosens and your stress drops. Your brain registers that avoidance successfully protected you, strongly reinforcing the habit loop. Because you only notice your failure to take action, you blame your own character, completely missing the hidden safety response that hijacked your focus before you made a conscious choice. To lower this threat response, use a method called micro-stepping. Shrink the initial task requirement until your nervous system stops registering it as danger. Instead of telling yourself to complete the report, set a timer for 2 minutes and commit only to opening the document and typing one single header line. You're not attempting to force deep work. You're simply lowering the perceived threat level below the exact threshold that triggers your brain's protective freeze response. Why does this work? Because your threat detection center responds directly to scale. A massive project feels like an overwhelming risk, but typing a single word presents zero recognizable danger. By keeping the entry point tiny, you bypass the brain's alarm system, allowing your executive function to stay online without triggering immediate physical resistance. If you want a structured framework to map out these attention patterns, check the link in the description below and pinned comment. We built a simple, practical guide to help you design daily workflows that fit your actual cognitive style. If shrinking the task isn't enough, shift your physical setup through environmental resetting. Threat responses lock into physical posture, keeping your body frozen in the exact spot where anxiety peaked. Stand up, switch to a different chair, or change the lighting in the room. Modifying your physical surroundings disrupts the body's stored tension loop, signaling to your brain that you're starting a completely new context rather than continuing an old struggle. Here is where people run into trouble. They try micro-stepping, but secretly hold onto the full expectation. You set a 2-minute timer, but inside, you're still expecting yourself to finish the entire document. Your threat system easily detects this hidden pressure. If the underlying expectation stays huge, your nervous system remains in protective defense mode, instantly bringing back the familiar freeze. For your absolute worst days, use the strategy of deliberate low-quality action. Give yourself full permission to perform the initial work terribly on purpose. Write messy sentences, format slides poorly, or outline flawed ideas. When you explicitly strip away performance standards, you neutralize the fear of evaluation. A flawed, clumsy start gives your brain real material to fix, whereas perfectionism keeps your nervous system trapped in freeze mode. You might feel like this is just making excuses for low standards, and that real progress requires forcing yourself through sheer friction. But relying on high anxiety as your primary engine steadily drains your focus over time. Working with your internal biology isn't avoiding effort. It's building a sustainable engine that lets you act consistently without constantly triggering an internal panic response. So when you find yourself staring at that blank spreadsheet again, chest tight and cursor blinking, stop telling yourself you're just lazy. You aren't lacking discipline, nor are you broken. Your body is simply trying to protect you from emotional threat. Shift your physical space, lower the entry requirement to 2 minutes, and allow yourself to make a rough start. Procrastination isn't a character flaw. It's just a signal to lower the threat.